I will go ahead and put it through some of the things that I face in a day, in a week, in a month. So first of all, one of the biggest things that multi-tools usually are not that designed for is actually electrical wiring. So now, while most of them have some sort of general use wire stripper, there's not usually too much thought put into what like an HVAC technician actually needs. So for instance, the Leatherman Squirt ES4 is no longer made, that had specific wire stripping capabilities, as well as the Gerber Groundbreaker. So what we do have in here is what supposedly is supposed to be a wire stripper, I believe from what I read online. And then this is a wire cutter. So I did use it, and I was able, you'll notice that there is, let's see here, if we can get this right. There's a little bit of a blade in there. But again, not too much. It's just slightly at an angle. So I was able to go on here, cut through the insulation, and able to make it work. But it's a lot harder than a normal wire stripper should be. So I'm not going to go through all the agony on camera. But I do have to say these wire cutters, I was very skeptical of them, but they do actually work. So I was able to use them here. Sometimes they get caught up on the insulation, but they do actually work. And then even on some of the smaller wire, they work as well, which I was pretty impressed with. So one of the major complaints about Gerber is actually its wire cutters, because they break all the time. And you'll notice here that they actually seem to work pretty good. So I was pretty impressed with that as well. So I was just checking to make sure, but everything looks good. I don't think I've broken anything. They look good. Again, this is soft wire, so it shouldn't do any damage, you would hope. And then again, even some of the smaller wires seems to cut through pretty well. So anyway, so pretty impressed with that. So that's one of the first things an HVAC tech faces. Now, that's probably one of the least exciting things. Most people don't work with wiring as a general rule, I would perhaps, since there's so little interest in electricians' multi-tools. Another thing that I face is just cutting things like zip ties. So that's another thing this is good for, is just cutting zip ties. We use zip ties for all kinds of things. So another thing that the Dual-Force definitely is handy for. All right, so now sheet metal. We're always dealing with sheet metal in HVAC. So you'll see that I have a 1/4 inch sheet metal screw. That's one of the most common screws. So we'll go ahead and close this up. We'll remove the bit driver. And then you'll see that this is actually, you can use this as a 1/4 inch nut driver. So we'll go ahead, and even though it is tilted on the side, let's see here, get this in here, and then we can actually use it here, or we can take the screw out. So pretty handy that you have a 1/4 inch nut driver rather in the Dual-Force, as well as the center drive, but the Dual-Force as well. And that is definitely something that we're using all the time, is trying to get out of 1/4 inch screws and so forth. All right, so when you look at the definition of adjustable pliers, one of the things they say is they're really a general purpose plier. And one of the purposes is bending metal or moving metal. So let's go ahead and do this. And let's see how well these work. So here we go. And this is thinner gauge metal. All right, so let's say we want to bend this back. So it works pretty well. And we need to straighten something out. And again, this is not something you deal with all the time. If I was fashioning something for a furnace, which I don't really do, the sheet metal shop does, I'm not really an install that much. Obviously, you're not going to mark up the metal with something like this. But if you need to get, let's say, a piece of ductwork out of the way, maybe you've cut out a hole for a humidifier, then that's when this would come really in handy, because you could just get in here and do some, you could move some metal, and makes it pretty handy. So obviously it's not that nice, doesn't look that nice, but if it's some spot where you just need to move the metal, then these pliers definitely come in handy. All right, then one of the other areas is, now this is galvanized. We usually use black iron pipe, is what I see, usually 3/4 of an inch. I think this might be 1/2 inch or so, or maybe it is 3/4 inch. But you'll notice the Dual-Force does an excellent job right here. And let me go ahead and grab, I think these are some old channel locks. And then here we go, and the Dual-Force really has some good grip in there. So pretty impressed. Pretty impressed. So those pliers really work really well. They have a lot of grip. Pretty neat.